Have you ever looked in the mirror and thought, what happened to me? Not because you gained weight, not because you got older, but because somewhere along the way, you stopped feeling like yourself. You still go to work, you still take care of your responsibilities, you still show up for other people, you still smile when people are watching. Deep inside, something feels different. The joy is gone. The excitement is gone. The passion is gone. The energy is gone. And perhaps the most painful part is this. You cannot remember when it happened. Today, I want to talk about something that affects millions of people, not just burnout, not just stress, not just exhaustion. I want to talk about losing yourself. And more importantly, how to find yourself again. Let's talk about it.
Welcome to Take Charge with Dr. Chichi.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Take Charge with Dr. Chichi. I'm your host, Dr. Chichi. One thing I've learned is that life teaches us lessons every single day. Some lessons come through success, others come through disappointment, some come through growth, and others come through pain. Many of the lessons I share on this podcast are not things I learned from textbooks. They are lessons I learned while living life. That is one of the reasons I started Take Charge with Dr. Chichi. I wanted a place where we could have honest conversation about life, health, leadership, finances, faith, purpose, and personal growth. Because awareness creates change and change creates breakthrough. Today, we're talking about a subject that I believe will touch almost everyone listening. The person I used to be. Let's begin. One of the most dangerous things about burnout is that it really announces itself. It doesn't just show up like that. No, it doesn't. Most people think burnout looks dramatic. It doesn't. They imagine someone breaking down emotionally, someone quitting their job, someone collapsing from exhaustion. But that is not how burnout usually begins. Burnout is often quiet. It sneaks into your life gradually. You continue functioning, you continue working, you continue serving, you continue leading, you continue surviving. But something inside begins to change. You no longer laugh the way you used to laugh. You no longer dream the way you used to. You no longer look forward to things. You become productive but disconnected, busy but empty, successful but unhappy. And then one day you realize that something is missing, and the thing that is missing is you. You are physically present but emotionally absent, spiritually drained, mentally exhausted. And suddenly you begin asking, where did I go? What happened to the person I used to be? And suddenly you begin asking, where did I go? What happened to the person I used to be? Burnout doesn't usually announce itself. Nobody wakes up one morning and says, I think I lost myself. It happens little by little. One disappointment, one difficult season, one toxic environment, one betrayal, one stressful year, one overwhelming responsibility after another, until eventually you become a stranger to yourself. You stop reading books, you stop pursuing dreams, you stop enjoying hobbies, you stop doing things that once brought you joy. You become so focused on surviving that you forget how to live. Many people listening right now are not tired because they work hard. They're tired because they have been carrying emotional weight for years, weight they never addressed, weight they never released, weight they convinced themselves was normal. But just because something becomes normal does not mean it is healthy. It's not. I remember a friend telling me that there were days she would drive home from work and later wonder how she even got home. That's dangerous. She had been on autopilot because of exhaustion, stress, and fatigue. She could not clearly remember portions of the driving on the highway that should have required full attention. That is not only a sign of burnout, it is dangerous. It's dangerous. When we become that depleted, our physical safety, mental health, and overall well-being is at risk. There are five things burnout tries to steal. When I said this, it reminded me of a Bible passage that says that the devil comes to kill, steal, and destroy. But that's not what we're talking about today. But I just want to say that there are five things burnout tries to steal. The first thing burnout steals is your identity. You become so attached to your roles that you forget who you are outside of those roles. You're a nurse, you're a doctor, you're a pharmacist, you're a healthcare professional, a parent, a leader, a spouse, a caregiver. But who are you beyond what you do? Who are you beyond what you do? That's a question for you to answer. So the second thing burnout steals is your confidence. You begin doubting yourself, question your abilities, you second guess your decisions, you become afraid to take risks. The third thing burnout steals is your relationships. You withdraw, you isolate, you stop connecting, not because you don't care, but because you have nothing left to give. The fourth thing that burnout steals is your purpose. You forget why you started. You lose sight of your mission. You begin operating on autopilot. The fifth thing burnout steals is your joy. Life becomes mechanical. Wake up, go to work, pay bills, sleep, repeat. Like the rat race. You keep grinding every day. You feel trapped in a repetitive cycle of working just to pay bills, with little time for genuine personal fulfillment. I first read about the rat race in Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. His philosophy of rat race described the endless cycle of working a job, earning a paycheck, and repeatedly spending that money on bills and lifestyle upgrades. It traps people. It traps people in a lifelong loop of financial insecurity because earning more money often leads to spending more money, requiring people to work even harder just to maintain the same lifestyle. And somewhere in the middle of all that, joy disappears. So I want to share how I find myself again. The truth is that healing did not happen overnight. It did not. It happened one small decision at a time. One small decision at a time. So after decades of working in healthcare, I made one of the hardest decisions of my life. I walked away from a position I had held many years. The decision was not easy. The decision was not easy at all. There was uncertainty, there was fear, there were questions. But I realized that if I continued ignoring what I needed, I would continue losing myself. Healing required courage. Healing required honesty. Healing required change. And sometimes healing requires making a decision that others may not understand. I mean, you don't owe anybody that. You're the one going through it. You're the one wearing the shoes and you know where it pinches you. But you know one thing I did? I've learned to rest. I learned to establish boundaries. I've learned to say no. I've learned that I could not save everyone. I learned that taking care of myself was not selfish. I learned that my value was not based on productivity. I learned that God never intended for me to carry every burden. I learned to create space for good. I continue learning. I continue developing. I continue pursuing my purpose. The more I healed, the more I started recognizing myself again. Not the exhausted version, not the overwhelmed version, the real version, the version God created me to be. Just making that decision helped me to organize the Burnout to Breakthrough Pause, Heal, Reset, Rise seminar. And that seminar touched a lot of people's life. I shared it in one of the episodes here. You know, God gives you certain gifts, but just because you're in an environment, you're stuck in an environment that doesn't make you grow. You don't use your God-given talent to help other people. You want to know and you want to be the version God created you to be. I hope I'm talking to someone. Are you still there? This may be the most important thing I say today. A caterpillar does not disappear when it enters the cocoon. A caterpillar does not disappear when it enters the cocoon. It transforms. It transforms. It transforms. For a period of time, it may look like nothing is happening. Everything appears quiet. Everything appears hidden. But transformation is taking place. Some of you listening today are in a cocoon season. You're in a cocoon season. You think you've lost yourself. You think your best days are behind you. But what if God is preparing you for your next season? Have you ever thought about it that way? You make your test, your testimony. You make your mess, your message. Let me ask you again. What if God is preparing you for something special? What if God is preparing you for your next season? What if this season is not destruction? What if this season is transformation? Have you ever thought about it that way? Have you ever thought about the fact that what you're going through is a season that is not for destruction, but a season for transformation? Think about that. I just want to tell you that the butterfly was always there. The person you used to be is not gone. I'm telling you that now. Your dreams are not gone. Your purpose is not gone. Your potential is not gone. Your confidence is not gone. Your joy is not gone. Listen, the real you is still there, buried beneath exhaustion, buried beneath disappointment, buried beneath stress, buried beneath responsibilities, buried beneath years of carrying too much. Burnout may have covered what or who you are, but it did not destroy who you are. It did not. And don't let it destroy who you are. The person God created you to become is still there, waiting, healing, growing, preparing to rise again. So I want to assure you that you are still there, but you just need to take charge. You just need to take charge. I know I'm talking to someone right now. So let's reflect on this. Imagine carrying a suitcase everywhere you go. At first, it feels manageable, then it gets heavier. But because you carry it every day, You stop noticing the weight. Burnout works the same way. You become so accustomed to stress that you stop recognizing how much you are carrying. Today, I want you to ask yourself, what suitcase am I carrying that I no longer need to carry? I want you to pause and think about these questions. You ready? When was the last time? Ask yourself, when was the last time I truly felt like myself? What used to bring me joy? What dream have I abandoned? What burden am I carrying that I no longer need to carry? What part of myself have I neglected? What would healing look like in this season for my life? And perhaps the most important question, are you listening? What is one thing I can do this week to reconnect with myself? Just write it down, and pray about it. Also take action. The financial reflection part of it that I want you to ask yourself is that, let me tell you, sometimes we lose ourselves because survival becomes our only goal. We become so focused on paying bills, meeting obligations, handling responsibilities that we stop dreaming, we stop planning, we stop building, we stop becoming. Financial stress is one of the leading contributors to burnout because we have to take care of everything and you forget to take care of yourself. So when every decision is made from fear, it becomes difficult to live with purpose. So that is why financial literacy matters. So financial literacy is not just about money, it's about options, it's about peace, it's about creating breathing room, it's about gaining the freedom to make decisions based on purpose rather than fear. Do you want to talk about financial literacy? Look on the description section of this video and email me. Let's talk about it. Do you want to talk about financial literacy? If you do, look on the description section and email me. Let's talk about it. If this episode spoke to you, I want you to do three things. The first one is subscribe to the channel if you have not already done so. The second is share this episode with someone who may be struggling silently. And the third will be leave a comment below. Leave a comment. Tell me, have you ever felt like you lost yourself? And what are you doing to find yourself again? Your story may be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. So remember, if you plant a seed in the ground, it looks buried, it looks buried, it looks forgotten, it looks hidden. But the seed is not dead, it's not. The seed is growing. So many of you feel buried right now. Many of you feel buried right now, buried under stress, buried under responsibilities. But I want you to remember this. Burnout is something you experienced. It is not who you are. Exhaustion is something you felt. It is not your identity. Disappointment is something that happened. It is not your future. The person you used to be is not gone. That person is still there. Still there. And with healing, faith, intentionality, and growth, you can become an even stronger version of yourself than you were before. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining me on another episode of Take Charge with Dr. Chichi. I am Dr. Chichi. My mission is to help you heal, lead, prosper, and take charge of your life, your health, your finances, and your purpose. Until next time, protect your peace, guard your purpose, choose healing, choose healing, choose growth, choose yourself. And remember, you have not lost yourself. You have simply been buried beneath everything you've been carrying. Now it is time for you to rise. It's time to rise. Take charge, and bye-bye.
Take Charge with Dr. Chichi is a brand of Sparkling Star Development Strategies LLC. The information provided is for educational purposes only and does not constitute financial, legal, or medical advice. Financial services are offered independently by Dr. Chichi in accordance with applicable licensing and regulatory standards. Thank you for watching.